leading scorer with 7 goals in 6 games. Number 22, Dick Advocat, and number 8, Gene Strasser. Up front, number 15, Jano Hasenbegovic. Number 12, Karl-Heinz Granitza with 14 goals and 3 assists, the 4th leading scorer in the American Conference. And Jurgen Christensen, number 10, will play the other wing. The coach, of course, Willie Roy. For the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, the goalkeeper will be Ian Turner. On defense, Colin Fowles, Tony Whalen, John Ridley, and Maurice Whittle. In the midfield, number 14, Norman Piper, number 11, Ian Callahan, number 4, Ray Hudson. Up front, number 7, Bill Ronson, number 10, David Irving, and number 9, Denny Vanager, their coach, Ron Newman, and we are going to be back with the opening kickoff after these messages. We're just the 35-yard line, leading to Karl-Heinz Granitza, going into the penalty area. Loses control of the ball over on the far side. And Fort Lauderdale back. Tony Whalen back to the earth. Ian Turner. He comes to the near side. Moving the ball is Callahan. A long, deep pass into the sting zone. Wilson's there. Intercepts for Chicago. To Spalding. Head ball momentarily controlled. One back by Fort Lauderdale, but Wilson has it again for Chicago. And now Arno Steffenhagen. Drops it over to Christensen. Lead goes up to Karl-Heinz Granitza. Granitza being marked closely by Hudson. Lays it up, broken up momentarily. Taken back by Fort Lauderdale. Coming here to the near side to Colin Fowles. Fowles over the midfield stripe. Advocat's giving him a little bit of room. He's looking for Ronson. Ronson had opened up. Now he passes it over to Ronson. He's picked up by Wilson. Ronson crosses. Clausen going high in the air, and the ball hits the top of the goal bar. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. No score in the action. We're going to be back after this message. Crosses, but it's going over and driven out of the penalty area. Returned by Advocat, and his drive taken by Christensen. Crosses out in front again, but it rolls over the end line, and it's going to be another goal kick, this time for Fort Lauderdale. While we were away for the spot, the Sting did attack and force. Karl-Heinz Granitza and Jurgen Christensen taking shots. So they did get one corner kick out of it and ended up with the throw-in, and now Fort Lauderdale controlling. Ridley in his own zone, trying to get around Granitza. Puts it up on the far side, broken up by Chicago, and taken back by Griffiths to Advocat. Advocat over the midfield stripe. Working. Sting controlling in the midfield. Finally, Horst Blankenburg coming up from his fullback spot. Drops it back, but it just goes beyond the outstretched foot of Clive Griffiths. It's going to be a throw-in for the Chicago Sting. All right, on the attack, the Fort Lauderdale, and the ball is driven by Derrick Spalding over the far side. It's going to be thrown in by the Strikers. Now they are attacking in the Sting zone, far side. Fort Lauderdale in control. Throw-in's going to be taken by Maurice Whittle. Hands high over his head, over on the far side. Whittle come out. He gives it to Hudson. Hudson trying to break around at Steffenhagen. He puts one into the penalty area. The head ball out in front. The return is kicked away and booted out of danger by Griffin. Able to capture that ball, take control. Christensen now loses it to Ronson. Ronson back to Fowles. Fowles can't control it. Christensen gets it away from him. Heads it out in front of him. There's the lead to Steffenhagen, but it is broken up by Ridley. Comes back to Ronson. Ronson here on the near side. Puts it up to Vanager. Spalding on Vanager. And the referee, Jim Hyatt, has called a foul. There's going to be a free kick for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers just outside the Sting 35. Clock shows just over 40 minutes remaining in the first half. No score. Kenny?
Yes, Howard. Chicago's playing tonight without the services of Jerry Ingram, who broke 2 ribs in that last match.
There's a long, high free kick. Head ball toward the net. Grabbed by Clausen, loose, and he grabs it again. Vanager, a head ball right at Mervyn Clausen. Couldn't quite control it. Recaptures it, and the Sting has control of the ball. So both sides now with opportunities to score. As Carson drives it upfield. Fowles waiting for it for Fort Lauderdale. Here he comes into the Sting zone. His pass broken up. Steffenhagen has it. Taken away from him by Piper. And finally controlled by Ronson. Ronson drives it deep into the Sting zone near side. Wilson has about a 3-step lead on Norm Piper. However, he's going to let it roll over the end line. So it's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. We want to remind you the Stings will be in Tampa this coming Wednesday night. at 8 o'clock Chicago time right here on Channel 9. The Sting versus the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and of course Rodney Marsh for revenge after that 5-4 loss to Tampa in Chicago. That's this Wednesday night on WGN. And a foul has been called on Ridley coming up behind Karl-Heinz Granitz. It's going to give the Sting a free kick from the midfield. Stefan Hagen will take it. Arno Stefan Hagen to Jurgen Christensen, back to Stefan Hagen. He's working on Whalen, gets it through. Here's Stefan Hagen coming into the penalty area, trying to beat Whalen. He takes a shot, and it goes over the bar, over the end line. It's going to be another goal kick as Arno Stefan Hagen, accepting a beautiful give and go from Christensen, moved through the penalty area, beat Whalen, but drove it over the bar. The Sting's next home game is going to be Sunday, July 23rd. That's at Wrigley Field at 2:30 in the afternoon against Kyle Rote and the Dallas Tornado. It's going to be Budweiser Sunvisor Day and Continental Bank Team Picture Day. Tickets at Ticketron, the Sting office of 333 North Michigan. Or at Wrigley Field box office the day of the game, Sunday, July 23rd, afternoon game. Head ball and a foul called. Nope, referee says play on. And he's allowing play to Christensen to Stefan Hagen at the midfield. Starting his run. Arno Stefan Hagen, one of the fastest players in the league, goes over to the far side. Advocat off his head, back to Blankenburg. Blankenburg now to Karl Granitz, just outside the 35. Throws one to the near side of the penalty area. Giotto is there. The head ball goes to Stefan Hagen. Can't quite control it. Tony Whalen comes up with the ball for Fort Lauderdale. To Norm Piper. Piper has fouls on the near side. Fouls pass, broken up by Wilson. Hasenbegovic now to Strasser. Over to Dick Advocat. The referee is Jim Hyatt. The linesmen are Jack Sandler and Bob Heilman. The Chicago Sting number is 558-KICK. Ticket information. Jim Paskowitz, Sting ticket manager, is there right now. All right, Sting trying the old give and go again. Broken up. Good tackle by Ridley. Strasser goes back to get it. 558-KICK. There's a drive into the penalty area, but an offside ball. Jurgen Christensen was offside. It's going to give Fort Lauderdale a free kick.
Howard, Chicago's playing some beautiful control soccer right now as they're pushing the ball around tremendously, and if they could do this throughout the match, they're gonna hold all the momentum throughout the game.
Okay, with the ball, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. The ball driven far to the far side. Whittle trying to attack. Broken up, dumped out there by Spalding, and the ball rolls over. It's going to be a throw-in. Derrick Spalding, the big tackle on Maurice Whittle. Fort Lauderdale on the attack in the penalty area. Ball out in front. There is a shot, and it hits the bar and comes right out. The shot taken by David Irving, their leading scorer, hit the post. And let's take another look at David Irving's bullet that hit that post.
All right, here he comes. Irving beats the man inside. The pass to Irving, he beats and takes the shot and hits one right in the corner of the crossbar right there.
Fort Lauderdale
Goalie's best friend, goal post.
Ballard got back. Piper to Callahan. Moving right back to Piper. Norm Piper puts one in the penalty area. And the ball is headed over the end line. It's going to be another goal kick for Chicago. Norm Piper got 2 goals against the Sting in Chicago last summer. 3-0 win for Fort Lauderdale. That was immediately following the Sting's 2-1 upset of Fort Lauderdale in Fort Lauderdale, a game that they wanted to clinch their championship. Head ball controlled at midfield by Callahan. Ian Callahan comes to the near side to Piper. Piper's got Ronson with him as he crosses the 35. To Ronson. Wilson picks him up, 1-1. Ronson, Wilson. There's the cross. Head ball goes high in the air. And Spalding pushes it off to the far side. Griffith's trying to run it down, but he'll never get there in time. It goes over the side. It's going to be Fort Lauderdale's throw-in, and the Strikers putting on a lot of pressure. This ball in front, taken by Whittle. Whittle's giving ground. He drops it back to Whalen. Whalen into the penalty area, broke it up nicely by the Sting. It's going to be a throw-in. Fort Lauderdale again comes out to Tony Whalen right at the 35-yard line on the far side. No score in the ball game. 35 minutes remaining in the first half. The Strikers put it out in the penalty area again, and it goes beyond Denny Vanager and rolls over the end line, and they're going to award a goal kick, I believe, to Chicago. And we will be back after the Chicago. Sting's Dick Advocat in his own zone. Gives ground all the way back to Horst Blankenburg. Blankenburg taps it. Top of the penalty area, Derrick Spalding. Over to Bruce Wilson. Giving Wilson a little bit of room. Takes his time. Now he drives it up toward Stefan Hagen at the midfield. Makes the chest trap. keeps control of the ball. Gives it to Jado Hasanbegovic. He could not check that. That was Gene Strasser. Gene could not keep it in bounds, however. It rolls off the sideline, and it's going to be thrown in. Here comes forward Callahan on the attack. Puts it too far in front of him. Strasser's there. He gives it to Schevenhagen. Arno starting the run. Inside the 35. Ronson trying to catch him from behind. He dumps Arno Stefenhagen. Stefenhagen is flat on the ground. The ball goes over the end line. No, check that, Kenny. I was watching Stefenhagen flatten. That ball was just grabbed by the keeper.
Yes, Stefenhagen got put down there. I can't believe he did not call that one. Right from behind that man took his legs out, and I hope he's all right.
Here comes Christensen, one-on-one against Whalen and Ridley. Finally, Fowles comes over to break it up. Taken back. There's a lead intended for Granitza, broken up by Whalen, and is taken back by Hudson. Hudson with it. Ray Hudson of Fort Lauderdale. The strikers moving from your left to your right. They're in yellow uniforms, red stripes, black pants. The Sting in all yellow uniforms, black numerals and trim. Colin Fowles moving in on Bruce Wilson, near side of the penalty area. He crosses, going over is Vanager for the head ball, but it goes ahead. It goes over the end line. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. There's a shot of Arno Stefenhagen.
He really got hurt there, Howard. You know what I mean? I think he kicked him right in the back of his calf there, and what he did, he caught like a slight cramp, and he's really limping. The muscle's starting to come back right now, and it looks like he's going to be all right.
Okay, action resumes at the midfield. Strasser in control for Chicago. Lays it up to Christensen. He waits. He's controlling. Pushes it up to Blankenburg on the far side. Hudson is on Blankenburg. And now the give and go. Christensen's got it to Granitza. But the give worked all right, but on the go, it was taken right back by Callahan. Over on the far side, it goes to Hudson. Hudson coming. Hudson's picked up by Advocat as he crosses the 35-yard line. He lays it out to Irving. Irving is dumped in the penalty area. Referee says play on. Ball comes out to Bruce Wilson and the Fort Lauderdale crowd. Big boo. The long pass is broken up. However, Whalen's header too far, and Arno Stefenhagen has it for Chicago. Moving in on the 35-yard line. He's got Wilson breaking on the left. Gives it to Christensen. Back to Stefenhagen. Broken up by Ridley. Ridley up to Callahan. Advocat backing up as the pass goes over to Hudson. Hudson breaking around. Oh, good tackle by Advocat. Takes that ball away. Takes a little push, and now another push from Hudson. But he's able to get that ball up front. Back to Advocat. Broken up by Fort Lauderdale. Taken once again by the Sting. Advocat in control. Over on the far side he goes. Hasanbegovic to Christensen. Christensen tries to go inside to Granitza. Taken away by Ridley. Ridley's doing a pretty good job in closing up that center back spot. Remember the Sting number, 558-KICK. Jim Paskowitz on duty, not only to tell you about the upcoming Sting home games, but to tell you about the great Sting group discount plans. And he's there right now. Callahan leading to Ronson. Ronson's picked up by Wilson. Trying to break around Wilson. And there's the cross out in front. Head ball toward the goal. Top of the bar and goes over the net. And there's still no score in the ball game with 30 minutes remaining. We'll be back after these messages. No score. Clock shows just under 29 minutes remaining in the first half. Free kick for Chicago. Granitza loses control of the ball, taken back by Fort Lauderdale. This is Colin Fowles moving at the midfield. His lead to Vanager, right back to Fowles as Vanager breaks toward the far side. He gets to Piper. Piper to Ronson. Ronson picked up by Wilson. Colin Fowles once again. He's working with Callahan. And he leads to Piper, right back to... No, Fowles lets it go for Ronson. Strasser's on him, throws it into the near side of the penalty area, but Spalding comes there trying to run it down, and Wilson keeps the ball in bounds. Bruce Wilson, Sting captain, puts it up intended for Granitza over his head. Ridley is there. Fort Lauderdale. Up it comes to Callahan, trying to get around Christensen. He does. Strasser on him. There's the pass. Backheel pass to Piper, coming to the top of the penalty area. Good tackle that time. Beautiful tackle by Blankenburg, and he pushes it forward with both feet, and finally Stefenhagen kicks it out of danger. Coming to the near side, Colin Fowles makes the tackle. Granitza on him, and Granitza tackles that ball away, forces it out of bounds. Throw-in comes from Christensen to Granitza, but the linesman on the near side is stopping play. The referee, Jim Heighton, is coming over. Heighton is awarding it to Chicago.
Howard, the linesman originally waved that one for Chicago. The referee stopped play, and
now the linesman is just very, very decidedly, Ken, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he waved it back. Now the referee's giving it back to Chicago. The linesman, look at the linesman.
Yes, that's unreal, Howard. the ref stopped the game because he thought it should go the other way, and then the Rhine changed his mind afterwards.
And now Fort Lauderdale is indeed going to get control. The linesman apparently has won the argument with the referee. You don't see that very often. There's a drive going into the Sting zone. The ball is headed over the side by Derrick Spalding. It was intended for David Irving. It's going to be thrown in by Billy Ronson. Ronson substituting for the great Georgie Best, who is not playing tonight. He is serving out a suspension. He received his 3rd red card the other night in the game against Tulsa, and this is the first game he's been out of. Okay, foul called just over the 35-yard line, going to give the Fort Lauderdale Strikers a free kick. Callahan will take it. Stefan motioning his defenders backwards. There's the cross going into the penalty area. Vanneger's going up, and Clausen's there first. Loose ball, and Blankenburg comes back to save it for Chicago, driving it back to the 35. Trap made by Stefan Takes an elbow, no call. The ball rolls out of bounds. Stefan tripped, and they are awarding it to Chicago. So Stefan took an elbow and a trip that time and got a throw in for his trouble. Bruce Wilson, don't check that. It's going to be a free kick.
Howard, the ref should have called the ref should have called the elbow there first. He let it go because Stefan had the ball, but there's no advantage in that at all because he was still under a lot of pressure, and he should have called the first foul there.
All right, Advocat for Chicago. On the Chicago side of the midfield stripe, he has Christensen, his lead, to Horst Blankenburg. He's come up quickly from the center back, right back to Christensen. There goes Stefan starting to run. There's a lead to Stefan near side of the penalty area. He crosses. Going up is Giotto, but the goalkeeper, Turner, fists it out. Ball rolling to the far side. Taken there by Hudson. Hudson battling with Granitza for the ball. Finally, Hudson comes up with it, and a foul called on Granitza. Going to give the Fort Lauderdale Strikers a free kick. Just over 25 minutes remaining in the first half. Still no score as the ball is driven up to midfield. Banniger has it. Give it to Piper. There Correa on the attack. David Irving passes it off in front. Comes out, and Marvin Costin grabs it, and a Sting player down on the far side of the field. Chicago playing with a man down on the far side of the field. From here, looks like
Derrick Spalding.
Derrick Spalding down. Granitza with the ball. Top of the penalty area. And the ball kicked away from him by Whalen. Taken back by Jurgen Christensen. Spalding is up. Appears to be okay. Puts it over on the far side. Dick Advocat has it. Advocat slowing it down. Controlling. He's crossing in the area. Giotto goes up. But Whalen beats him to the ball, and Fort Lauderdale comes out with it. Broke it up. Giotto comes back very nicely. However, a foul has been called against Chicago. It's going to give the Sting a free kick. Nick?
I think what the Sting's going to have to do, every ball that they've laid into the middle, they're up high. The two big center halves are about 6'1", 6'2". They're getting all the head balls. We're going to have to keep that ball low, give it to them right in their foot in order to break through. I don't think we can center that ball in the middle there to be effective.
David Irving in a foot race loses that race, and Spalding is there to drive it over the sideline. So Fort Lauderdale owns the ball deep in Sting territory. As soon as we get any scores in on the Memphis-Vancouver game in Memphis, we will be reporting them to you. It's an important game for Chicago. Ian Callahan, who's running over, but the ball was intercepted by Chicago on the throw-in, and the Sting owns it. So Chicago with the ball. Back to Marvin Costin, goalkeeper, to the near side of Jurgen Christensen. Christensen has Wilson up at the 35. He's got Banniger on him. And his pass to Wilson goes over his head. Throw in Norm Piper, Fort Lauderdale. Throws it out to Ian Callahan. Callahan coming to the 35-yard line, picked up by Strasser. And he puts one in the penalty area. Wilson is there, and he drives it out, heading back toward midfield. Granitza goes up in the air, but the head ball is won once again by Whalen. Taken by Hudson. There comes Fort Lauderdale. There's a long lead to Whittle. Whittle coming up wide. Advocat picks up him and crosses in front. Loose ball broken up and driven out of danger by Wilson. Good defensive play by Chicago that time, covering the zone.
Yes, that was an excellent ball by Hudson as he checked the runner before he hit the offsides line, the line with the Chicago defense, and he put him right through on that occasion.
Hudson to Whittle again. They're coming right back with it. Whittle takes in the corner. Now he crosses. They go up in the air. The head ball is driven away. Run down by Fort Lauderdale on the near side. This is Ronson, one-on-one against Bruce Wilson. And now coming over to help out and taking the ball is Jurgen Christensen. Great footwork by Christensen. He's got Piper on him. Taps it over to Wilson, but Wilson was not coming, and the ball rolls over the sideline. It's going to be thrown in.
Howard, that was an unfortunate pass by Christensen as he missed Wilson on that one, but Jurgen's such a fine passer, and He can handle the ball so well that he will make a bad pass occasionally because he does control the ball for Chicago the game.
Here's Advocat. Backheeling it to Blankenburg. Blankenburg's coming. He's got Stefan on his right. Goes back. There's a long lead. Blankenburg's got it. Far side of the penalty area. He's being picked up by Vanager. Blankenburg puts it in the penalty area, but he bends it, and Piper is there to kick it away. Up to Hudson it goes. Ray Hudson moving for Fort Lauderdale. Strikers going from your left to your right. No score in the game. A long lead to David Irving, but Spalding is there. Good tackle by Spalding. The ball goes over the sideline, but Derrick is down. Derrick is down. There's referee is stopping time with 21:38 remaining in the first half. No score in the game, and we're going to be back after these messages.
When he was running by him.
One little change can make a big difference. Like a new hairstyle or a mouthwash. I changed to Listermint, and I feel great about me. I heard the tests prove it works even longer than Scope, so I tried it. And I believe Listermint really keeps my breath fresh and clean longer. And it's just as good as it works. Try Listermint yourself. Then, try it on a friend.
Get together with something better. Get Listermint.
Fort Lauderdale attack. A missed kick by Hudson drove that ball over the end line, so Marvin Causton has it. Sting and Fort Lauderdale. No score in the ball game. Just over 21 minutes remaining in the half. Derrick Spalding is okay. That's twice Derrick's been down, but twice he's okay and back in the action. Jurgen Christensen at the midfield. Double teamed. Hudson almost tackles it away. Finally does get it away from him. It's taken by Vanager. Vanager throws a long lead. He is out racing Griffiths. Here comes Vanager coming into the attack zone. And Griffiths comes down, takes the ball. Loose ball is finally tackled by Blankenburg over the side. A great defensive play by Clive Griffiths, who tackled that ball away from Vanager just like when he looked like he was ready to uncork a shot. All right, let's take another look.
Okay, here comes Vanager. A great tackle. And Vanager almost has it again, but then Blankenburg comes in and shifts it away to the corner kick.
Going to be a corner kick for Fort Lauderdale. No score in the game. Both sides have had some opportunities. Piper will take the corner kick. There's the cross. They go up. Head ball. Great save, Clausen. The head ball by Vanager and Marvin Causton, a diving save.
I tell you this way, Howard, all those crosses are very dangerous because both of them, Vanager and Irving, are very big and strong, and they're getting all the head balls out there.
Great save by Marvin Causton. All right, Piper will take another one. He's got Ronson in case he wants a short corner. But he crosses again, and this time the ball is headed out nicely by Griffiths. Ball coming back around over the 35. The danger is over as Callahan runs it down for Fort Lauderdale. Tries to get around Gunitsa. He does. That was Christensen. There's a man coming in on the goal. It's Ronson. A shot scores. Ronson breaking through the Sting defense. Takes the long pass. Marvin Causton came off the line, and Ronson beat him. And the Chicago Sting now trails by a score of 1-0.
This is a tremendous.
Okay, here's the replay. There's a beautiful chip in this case. Hudson runs right into the position. Just a beautiful run, catches it and hits it at the same time. Marvin having no chance, right in the upper corner. Great shot.
So the Fort Lauderdale Strikers lead by a score of 1-0 for Hudson. That was his third goal to go along with 7 assists. Scoreboard clock shows just under 19 minutes remaining in the first half. The Sting trailing by a score of 1-0. Advocat with the ball for Chicago. Taking his time. Gets by Hudson. Here's Stefan on the far side. Puts it in the penalty area. Stefan is dumped. Foul called against Fort. And the Sting is going to have a free kick just outside the penalty area on the far side. And Maurice Whittle is doing a bit of complaining. Sting now has a dangerous opportunity as far as scoring is concerned. They're going to have a free kick just outside the far corner of the penalty area. Short corner. Here's Christensen. Christensen putting it up in the air toward Blankenburg. It goes over, check that was Hasenbegovic, goes over his head. And Whalen is there. Whalen taps it back toward the goalkeeper, Turner. He has to make a sprawling save to keep it in bounds. It would have gone over the end line. Otherwise, the Sting would have had a corner kick. But Ian Turner has it. Fort Lauderdale winning 1-0 on the goal by Ray Hudson. Flings it on the far side. Maurice Whittle. Right back to Turner. Remember, the Sting Their next home game will be this, not tomorrow, but a week from this Sunday, July 23rd, against Kyle Rote and the Dallas Tornado at Wrigley Field at 2:30. The Budweiser, Sunvisor, and Continental Bank Team Picture Day. There's a loose ball. Fowles was unable to control it. It rolls over the sideline, so Chicago has a throw-in on the Fort Lauderdale side of the midfield. It comes all the way to Christensen. Christensen moving. Goes over to the far side toward Dick Advocat. He makes the trap, tries to keep it in bounds, can't do it. It slides off the far side, so it's going to be thrown in by Fort Lauderdale. Strikers controlling once again. Ridley has it. Coming out of his penalty area to Tony Whalen. Up it goes to Callahan, right back to Ridley. Maurice Whittle now on the far side. Good, strong, attacking left fullback. Puts it up front. There's a lead coming, and it's broken up. Piper tried to get it to Ronson. Wilson broken up, and here's Stefan now moving with the ball. Arno trying to beat Ronson. Puts it right through his legs. Great move by Stefan. Puts it out to Strasser. Strasser to Christensen. He driving it towards Stefan in the penalty area, but Ian Turner, sensing the move, came out off the line and grabbed that ball, flinging it to Colin Files on the near side. 1-0, Fort Lauderdale on a goal by Ray Hudson as Callahan breaks by Christensen. Long lead intended for Ronson. He's fast, but Wilson's getting position, and Wilson taps it over the sideline. It's going to be thrown in now by Fort Lauderdale. Ronson has it high over his head. Comes back out to Colin Files. Right back to Callahan. Callahan crosses up in the air. Loose ball. Griffiths heads it away. Taken by Advocat. He's hemmed in. Gets around his man very nicely. Pushes it out on the far side. Here comes Spalding. Check that. Griffiths for Chicago. Griffiths coming. Griffiths coming to the 35. He's got Granitza. Granitza inside the 35. He's got Strasser on the near side. Strasser is picked up by Callahan. Taking his time, moving that ball over on the far side it goes. Christensen making the stop. He loses control of the ball. And Jurgen Christensen couldn't quite control it on the far side. Fort Lauderdale coming out now. They've got a 1-0 lead. A dive by Chicago drives that ball out of bounds.
There was no defender. He just ran right in there.
All right, here we go. On the attack, Denny Vanager, former player with the St. Louis Stars, a native of St. Louis, comes back to Maurice Whittle. He lays it over to Ray Hudson. Hudson coming right along the midfield stripe. Hudson has got Fowles over on the near side. Doesn't see him. Goes instead to Callahan. Callahan driving it to David Irving. Irving on the near side of the penalty area. Now he goes to Fowles. Fowles trying to get around Granitza. Comes back to the 35 to Callahan. Callahan avoids Granitza, and he just dumps it deep into the Sting zone, probably looking for Ronson to be down there. Ronson had come up on the play, so it's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. Sting trailing by a score, and we're going to be back after these messages.
You know, we have a lot in common.
Who?
I'm a pepper, too.
Chicago attack blunted at the last moment. The ball last touched by Arno Stefan as it went over the end line, which gives a goal kick to Fort Lauderdale. Strikers ahead of the Sting, 1-0. Clock shows now less than 9 minutes to go in the first half. It's almost very remindful of last year at this time when we were down here. They took a 1-0 lead at halftime. We came back in the second half to win it 2-1. All right, let's see if we can get the equalizer before the half runs out. With the ball, Clive Griffiths for Chicago in the midfield. Karl-Heinz Granitza makes the trap, gets around Ridley, or trying to. Ridley comes back, kicks that ball back to Fowles. Colin Fowles now. Naturalized American citizen from Jamaica. Finally taken by Ronson on the near side, back to Fowles. Strasser giving Fowles some room as he gives it to Callahan. Callahan taking his time. He's got a man over on the far side as Hudson. There's a long drive toward Hudson. Hudson coming with Whittle. Hudson gets around one man. Hudson now still controlling, goes to the top of the penalty area on the far side. Avoids another tackle. Hudson took it right. Finally, the ball tackled away, but Hudson right. He went to get it again. Loose ball still in the penalty area, and Marvin Carson has to come out and grab that ball. The Sting had their foot on that ball about 2 or 3 times, couldn't clear their penalty area. Finally, the ball close enough to Marvin. He can come out and grab it. Sting looking for that big attack that'll get him the equalizing goal. It's 1-0 Fort Lauderdale. Arno Stefan pushes it out to Jurgen Christensen. He's faced by Tony Whalen at the midfield. There's a long lead. However, the linesman on this side is called an offsides against Karl-Heinz Granitza. There has been a running battle between the linesman on this side and the referee, Jim Hyatt, on several calls during this game. We have not continually pointed it out. However, there was another occasion when the linesman wanted a Fort Lauderdale throw-in, and the referee gave it to the Sting, and this time he stuck to his guns. The linesman now and the referee are exchanging some pretty tough stares. There's a free kick coming up for Fort Lauderdale. Less than 7.5 minutes remaining in the first half as Whittle drives it upfield. But there is Clive Griffiths for Chicago.
Now they've lost it, and now they're going to have to start playing some good soccer again if they're going to want to regain this momentum.
Stefan one-on-one against Callahan. He gets by Callahan. There's a foot race. Stefan and Ridley. Ridley makes the tackle. Ridley is hurt. Arno Stefan with the ball as Ridley gets up. Taps it to Christensen. Christensen coming toward the top of the penalty area. Gets by fouls. Trying to get around Ridley. 8 crosses in front. Head ball is sailing over the end line. It's going to be a corner kick for Chicago. Christensen, the corner broken up, however, by Colin Files. He gives it to Hudson. Tried a quick corner that time, but Fort Lauderdale was in position. Head ball won by Spalding momentarily. Wilson has it over to Strasser, but his pass is broken up. Taken away by Vanager. Griffiths comes back, however, to head that ball toward Dick Advocat. Advocat moving at the midfield. Karl-Heinz Granitza, Sting's leading scorer with 14 goals, 16 games. Give and go. Stevenhagen has it. Stevenhagen is done, and a foul has been called against Norm Piper on Stevenhagen as he tried to come back into the penalty area.
Howard, watch for Karl-Heinz Granitza to possibly take this shot. This is the side of the goal which he is best adapt to curl it in with the left foot. This wall will cover up the keeper's right side of the goal, which is Carl's left side, and the keeper will worry about the other side. Carl's very, very good at curving the ball in that direction.
All right, Karl-Heinz puts it down. As you can see, that ball just outside the arc. Karl-Heinz into it. He takes the shot and he goes over the goal bar. It's going to be a goal kick for Fort Lauderdale. And we will be back after these messages.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. Happy birthday.
When do you say Budweiser whenever the moment is right for a great beer?
Good for you. Yeah, but it sure smells good. Yeah.
When do you say Budweiser?
After the corn, the chicken, oh, and the black-eyed peas. And try this for your person, sir. Why, thank you.
When do you say Budweiser?
Honey, after a few hours in this kitchen, I can't form my mouth to say anything else.
Ain't that the truth?
After the work is done, while you still having fun, anytime the right time to say it. When do you say Budweiser?
Whenever I feel like a king.
Or when you say Budweiser, you get it all.
Chicago attack blunted at the last moment. The ball last touched by Arnold Stefanhagen as it went over the end line, which gives a goal kick to Fort Lauderdale. Strikers ahead of the Sting, 1-0. Clock showed 9 minutes ago in the first half. It's almost very remindful of last year at this time when we were down here. They took a 1-0 lead at halftime. We came back in the second half to win it 2-1. All right, let's see if we can get the equalizer before the half runs out. With the ball, Clive Griffiths for Chicago in the midfield. Karl-Heinz Granitza makes the trap, gets around Ridley, or trying to. Ridley comes back. Kicks that ball back to Fowles. Colin Fowles now. Naturalized American citizen from Jamaica. Finally taken by Ronson on the near side, back to Fowles. Strasser giving Fowles some room as he gives it to Callahan. Callahan taking his time. He's got a man over on the far side as Hudson. There's a long drive toward Hudson. Hudson coming with Whittle. Hudson gets around one man. Hudson now still controlling, goes to the top of the penalty area on the far side. Lloyd's another tackle. Hudson took it. Finally the ball tackled away, but Hudson right. He went to get it again. Loose ball still in the penalty area, and Marvin Carson has to come out and grab that ball. The Sting had their foot on that ball about 2 or 3 times, couldn't clear their penalty area. Finally, the ball close enough to Marvin. He can come out. Sting looking for that big attack that'll get him the equalizing goal. It's 1-0 Fort Lauderdale. Arno Stefanhagen pushes it out to Jurgen Christensen. He's faced by Tony Whalen at the midfield. There's a long lead. However, the linesman on this side is called an offsides against Karl-Heinz Granitza. There has been a running battle between the linesman on this side and the referee, Jim Hyatt, on several calls during this game. We have not continually pointed it out. However, there was another occasion when the linesman wanted a Fort Lauderdale throw-in, and the referee gave it to the Sting, and this time he stuck to his guns. The linesman now and the referee are exchanging some pretty tough stares. There's a free kick coming up for Fort Lauderdale. Less than 7.5 minutes remaining in the first half as Whittle drives it upfield. But there is Clive Griffiths for Chicago. Here comes the Sting, back on the attack. Dick Advocat leads it to Stevenhagen. Stevenhagen has Whalen to beat. Gets by one, gets by Callahan, but he couldn't get by. And Fort Lauderdale once again has it. Here comes Callahan. Callahan up for moving across the midfield. He's got Ronson on the near side. Billy Ronson moving in on Bruce Wilson. He crosses over to the far side. Vanager goes for the head ball. It's out in front, but headed away nicely. Taken right back, and a shot by Callahan is sailed high into the bleachers behind the Chicago Sting goal. And with the score 1-0, Fort Lauderdale will be back after these messages.
I predict you'll go down in 3, because I'm fast and I'm powerful, and I'm a pep, you see. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too?
Soccer's the game, Cooper's the name, and I'm a pepper I claim.
Ask any pepper and they'll say, only Dr. Pepper tastes that way.
You gotta be loose as a goose and float like a feather. But that ain't all, you gotta be a pepper. You be Dr. Pepper, you're a pepper too.
Be a pepper, drink Dr. Pepper. Be a pepper.
The new cars run on lead-free fuel, but they don't all run the same on it. So independent standard dealers offer 2 lead-free grades, the more energy-efficient way to satisfy today's car. If yours knocks or keeps running after you turn it off, use higher-octane Amoco Premium lead-free. And if it doesn't have performance problems, use the Midwest best-selling lead-free in the Blue Pump. That's Standard's lead-free choice. You expect more from a leader.
We want to apologize, fans. While we were away, the Chicago Sting has tied it up. So there's the good news and the bad news. The good news is Jurgen Christensen has pumped in the tying goal. And the bad news is, but here it is. Here it is again. Let's take another look at the Chicago Sting's tying goal.
I know Stefan does a great job of eluding a man, as we couldn't see, and dropped it back off the line to Christensen, who had an absolute blast off at the top of the crossbar and came down inside the goal. The assist will go to Stefan, who received the ball from Christensen originally.
For Jurgen Christensen, his 3rd goal of the year, and we do want to apologize for not bringing that to you live, but you did see it on the slow-mo replay. But the main thing is the Sting has tied it up. Sting has now gone 19 straight games without being shut out as Bruce Wilson drives it back upfield, and Stefan Hagen is really dumped by Ian Callahan. It's going to be a free kick for Chicago. So the combination of Stefan Hagen and Christensen has tied this ball game up with the scoreboard clock showing just about 4.5 minutes remaining in the half. Horst Blankenburg. And now Arno Stefan Hagen taps it up to Christensen. Christensen being hemmed in by Callahan and Piper. He gets it up to Spalding. Here comes Derrick Spalding to Bruce Wilson. Wilson one-on-one against Fouls. Wilson moving to the top of the penalty area. Wilson now to Karl-Heinz Granitza trying to work around Whalen. He is pushed. This time the referee was standing right there, and Sting is going to have a free kick in the restraining circle there as Whalen pushed Karl-Heinz Granitza down as he was moving. So the Sting will be in a dangerous position. Karl-Heinz has scored a couple of goals from this position earlier in the season, and the Fort Lauderdale Strikers are throwing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-man wall. There's a picture of that wall. You have a view now coming over the camera, coming over the Fort Lauderdale goal. Christensen is standing over the ball now with Granitza and with Stefan Hagen. Now Stefan Hagen looks like he's going to take it, but Christensen is standing right over the ball. They're waving Wilson down just on the other side of the wall. He back tacks it. There's the shot broken up by the wall. Racing forward is Strasser over on the far side, trying to battle for it. It goes out, and it's going to be Sting's ball. Throw in for Chicago. Deep in the Fort Lauderdale zone. Score all tied at 1 with just over 3 minutes remaining in the half. Throw in comes Christensen. Comes back to Christensen from Advocat. Christensen coming into the penalty, making his run, and the ball tackled away from him very nicely. Driven over to the far side, and Hudson controlling, but the ball last touched by Strasser trying to tackle it away. So Fort Lauderdale's Whittle in control, and back it comes to the goalkeeper. Remember the Sting, their next home game, July 23rd, against Dallas at Wrigley Field at 2:30. Tickets at Ticketron, the Sting office at 333 North Michigan, or Wrigley Field the day of the game, or call 558-KICK. Jim Paskowitz, ticket information. He's there right now waiting for your call. All right, Lauderdale on the attack. Maurice Whittle, fine left fullback, moving to the far side of the penalty area. Picked up by Blankenburg. He crosses. Carson goes up and is able to get one hand on it. Over the crossbar it goes, giving Fort Lauderdale a corner kick. And Norm Piper racing down into the far corner to take that kick. Kenny?
Yeah, Marvin had to come from the other side of the net and did well just to get the hand on it to deflect it over. If he tries to catch that one, he could collide into that post, or he could knock it in the net himself. So he played it safe and he did the right thing.
All tied at 1. Their goal by Hudson, ours by Jurgen Christensen. This from Stefan. Here's Piper into the corner kick. He crosses. Clausen goes up, and the head ball hits the top of the net. Looked like Marvin may have got his hands on that ball, too, as he went high in the air. They've got some big boys up there in the front with Vanager and David Irving. It's going to be a corner kick for Fort Lauderdale on the other side now. Piper is running from the far corner to the near corner to take the corner kick. Clock is running down toward a minute and a half to go in the first half. 1-1. There's the cross going out in front. Head ball goes through. The ball is kicked out of danger. Taken right back by Fort Lauderdale. This is Callahan moving on the near side. His cross is off the leg of Jaro Hasanbegovic, and it's going to be another corner kick.
Vancouver and Memphis are both scoreless late in the first half, Howard.
All right. There's the drive on the corner kick. It's trapped out in front. Loose ball, broken up momentarily. Kick back to Hasanbegovic. He's out of danger. A long, long boot heading upfield. And finally tapped out of bounds far on the far side of the field. Looks like it's going to be a Sting throw-in. No, they're awarding it to Fort Lauderdale. And the referee is stopping play. He said, no, sir, that belongs to Chicago, even though the linesman on the other side had called it a Fort Lauderdale throw-in. So the Sting's Dick Advocat is going to take that throw-in just about midfield on the far side. Clock shows just over 30 seconds remaining in the first half. Want you to remember that the Windmill Vitamin Mini Clinic with Sting head coach Willie Roy will come up right at halftime. Another little mini clinic with Coach Willie Roy on the Windmill Vitamin Mini Clinic. They have stopped the time now as the referee Jim Hyatt has gone over to talk to Coach Willie Roy. Kenny, you have any idea what that may be about?
I couldn't guess, Howard. Maybe Willie was unhappy about something, perhaps a call, and had a few words with the ref, and the ref went over to stop any more.
All right, at any rate, Sting has control of the ball. Advocat at the midfield. He's got Strasser out there, but he goes instead to Grunitza, trying to control. Fort Lauderdale breaks it up. Up they go for the head ball, and a foul called against Chicago's Gene Strasser is going to give Fort Lauderdale a free kick with 14 seconds to go. Comes here to fouls, column fouls, moving upfield for the strikers. Now there's only 7 seconds remaining as fouls breaks into the Sting zone with Ronson. He taps it out to Ronson, makes the trap. Wilson's there. Ronson gets around him, but the cross hits Jotto on the chest. Taken back. Check that was. And finally, the whistle has ended play. That cross, I had said it hit Jotto. That's actually Gene Strasser. However, as Fort Lauderdale was trying to recoup the ball, the whistle had ended the end of the first half. The score, the Chicago Sting won, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers won, and we are going to be back with you after these messages. Ball is driven by Whittle, upfield. Blankenburg, however, lets it go, and Mervyn Costin is there. Costin, Chicago Sting goalkeeper. For those of you just tuning in, the score is all tied at 1. Second half just underway. Horst Blankenburg, near side to Dick Advocat. Pushes it up toward Carl Grunitza. Ridley on him. Back it comes to Steffenhagen. Picked up by Hudson, and Hudson taps that ball away. Throw in Chicago. Steffenhagen looking for an open man. He's got Christensen at the 35. Pushes it to Grunitza. Trying to get back to Christensen, but is broken up by Tony Whalen and driven back to Ian Turner. Turner was the goalkeeper for Southampton when they beat Manchester United 1-0 in that FA Cup final. In fact, he was a teammate of ex-Sting player Jimmy McCalliog. Hudson controlling. He's got the Lauderdale goal. Moves it up to Whittle. Advocat giving Whittle a little bit of room. There's the cross. Costin's coming off the line, and he grabs it. Those big strikers, Irving and Vanager, giving the Sting fits there in the back. Dick Advocat to Christensen, and he taps it right back to Blankenburg. Back to Christensen. Jurgen drives one towards Steffenhagen. There's a foot race with Colin Fowles. Steffenhagen gets it. However, Steffenhagen is called for pushing off on Colin Fowles, so it's going to be a free kick for Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and that one, he gave him a little nudge just to give him a little room for himself, and the referee caught him.
Ian Turner flinging it over the 35-yard line to Whittle. Grunitza coming back quickly, forces Whittle to stop. There's a pass up to Hudson. Hudson's got Blankenburg to beat as he comes into the penalty area. Blankenburg goes down, pushes it out in front. There's a shot and just misses wide by Ian Callahan. And we're going to be back after these messages.
Mom, I'm engaged. No, he's not a doctor. He's a pepper.
I'm a pepper, she's a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too?
Come on, Mac, move it!
I ain't no Mac, I'm a pepper.
Ask any pepper and they'll say, only Dr. Pepper thinks that way.
I predict he'll go down in 3, because I'm fast and I'm powerful, and I'm a pepper, you see. If you drink Dr. Pepper, you're a pepper too.
Be a pepper, drink Dr. Pepper. Be a pepper.
When Grandpa Ganella invited the family to break bread one Sunday, he had no idea his homemade bread could bring that many people together. He also didn't know the neighborhood bakery he started for his family in 1886 would grow to feed thousands of families for the next 90 years. The same family still makes the same bread the same way, hearth-baked without preservatives and delivered fresh daily. Ganella, the family bread that brings families together. 90 years old and still fresh.
Once again, on the commercial break, we missed another Chicago Sting goal. There's Karl-Heinz Granitza, who has scored his 15th goal of the season. And I just don't remember in 4 years of soccer. Here's the goal again.
Okay, here's the replay on him again. Here comes Hasenbegovic coming in. He gives it to Karl-Heinz Granitza. The goalie comes out a little bit too far. So Karl hits it, curves it right over him, and right underneath the bar. Beautiful shot.
There's a shot 25 by Fort yards. Lauderdale. It's kicked away, and there's another return, and it goes over, hits the top of the goal. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. Karl-Heinz Granitza has just scored his 15th goal to go along with those 4 assists, so now he is pulled ahead of David Irving as now the third leader in the American Conference. Sting has the ball. I was about to say that in 4 years of broadcasting soccer, it's the first time we've lost 2 goals on commercials, and we do sincerely want to apologize. But I know you rejoice as we do that the Chicago Sting has taken a 2-1 lead. And keep in mind, the Fort Lauderdale has won 10 straight games at home. They lost to Detroit 2-1 in overtime to start the season, but then have won 10 straight. And for those of you just joining us, the Sting has gone ahead 2-1, and we're going to show that goal one more time. Let's take another look at it. Here's Hasenbegovic, who started it all.
As you can see, Karl got the defender on the side he wanted. He turned so that he could get it on that left foot, and the defender was caught on the wrong side of him. Hit a gorgeous shot that curled just over the keeper. Granitza gets the goal. Hasenbegovic, he assisted 47-42 of the game.
Sting ahead, 2-1. Stefan on the sideline. Outraces Hudson with the ball taken away from him by Callahan. Here comes Callahan. Gets by one man. Tackled away, but for Fort Lauderdale. Ray Hudson to Whalen. Whalen, the lead to Whittle. Whittle, a good attacking fullback. Covered, however, very closely. And finally, Jotto able to take that ball away. Jotto just moves around Whalen. Here comes Jotto Hasenbegovic, driving it up the far side of the field to Stevenhagen. He's got Christensen breaking on the far side. He's going to Christensen. Christensen catches up to it. Christensen moving into the penalty area. Fakes around one man. Out in front, grabbed by Turner. Christensen was looking for Jotto Hasenbegovic, coming up on the near side, but Turner was there to intercept it. Lauderdale coming back in this crowd out here. We still haven't got the attendance figure, but it's a nice crowd. Starting to pull for their strikers. Strikers in 3rd place in the Eastern Division of the American Conference with 114 points. They have a record of 13-11. Of course, the Sting came in tonight, 7-17, 5-3 under new head coach Willie Roy. Hudson gets around Strasser. Hudson coming to the top of the penalty area. Gets to the Blankenburg, broken up by Chicago. Good tackle, Wilson, and the loose ball kicked out. In there. Battle for it on the sideline. Strasser is dumped. And a foul called against Fort Lauderdale is going to give the Sting a free kick. No, that wasn't Strasser. I'm sorry. That goes way down to the far end of the field. I called that a little quick. Kenny?
Howard, this game has taken on the exact same pattern as the Memphis game, with the Memphis getting off to the first goal in that game, and now in Fort Lauderdale in this game, and Chicago comes back and scores 2 goals. They lost the game in Memphis as they lost momentum here. Let's see if we can't get a 3rd goal and hold on to all the momentum.
Hasenbegovic lead. Hasenbegovic. There's a shot, and it goes over the goal crossbar. It's going to be a goal kick for Fort Lauderdale with the score Chicago 2, Fort Lauderdale 1. You know, in addition to the July 23rd game, we mentioned the games July 26th against Philadelphia, July 29th against Memphis. Then August 2nd is the last regular season game. We're going to tell you about that Las Vegas night. There will be 12 free trips, round trips to Las Vegas, including a weekend at the Sahara Hotel. And they'll be chosen that night. All right, back to the action. Remember the Sting number is 558-KICK. Ridley drives it upfield. Shot made. Denny Vanager. Big strong boy, 6'1", 190 pounds. From St. Louis to Callahan. On the far side, he goes to Ronson. Ronson 1-on-1 against Wilson. He goes to Hudson. Ball tackled away from him. Very nicely taken back by Fort Lauderdale. The ball goes over the sideline. Last touched by the Strikers. It'll be a throw-in for the Chicago Sting.
Howard, as we mentioned at halftime, Nick was down in the locker room, and Willie mentioned that he might put Stefan Schaefer back in the back and move Blankenburg up to the midfield. But Chicago's playing very well this half, and I don't think he'll make the change now.
I think when you're winning and you got the right combination, why change? That's why he's leaving everything the way it is. And Blankenburg actually is a great sweeper, so why not leave him there? They're winning now.
37 minutes remaining in the ball game. Sting ahead 2-1. As Ridley drives it over to the far side to Callahan. Ian Callahan moving. He's got Strasser to beat. Tries to put a move around. Up it comes forward to David Irving, trying to get around Spalding. Can't do it. Stefan comes out with it for Chicago. Good move by Spalding that time on David Irving. He backheels the pass. Christensen has it. Comes over here to Dick Advocat. Across the midfield goes Advocat with Granitza trailing the play. To Christensen in the center circle. He's picked up by Callahan. Goes to Advocat. Right back to Christensen. Attempts a pass to Hasenbegovic. Broken up by Hudson. And when it's all said and done, Ray Hudson still controls for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. It's 2-1 Chicago. Goals by Christensen and Granitza. Spalding really battling David Irving, forcing that ball back toward the midfield stripe where Hudson gets it to Ian Fleming. Clock shows 6 minutes to go in the game. On the far side, Colin fouls. To Ian Fleming. What did I say, Ian Fleming? James Bond, I mean Ian Callahan. All right, here's Hudson. Hudson moving outside the 35. He goes to fouls. He's picked up by Blankenburg. Working his way toward the area. His shot, his pass intercepted and kicked out of the way. Strasser drives it back upfield. It's going to be thrown in by Fort Lauderdale, I believe. Colin fouls with it just inside the Sting 35. Goes to Ronson, but he's run off the ball. And Wilson's able to tap it to Mervyn Carson. Carson flings it. Long lead to Griffiths. And Griffiths is dumped by Vanager. Comes up with the ball. Great move by Griffiths. Puts it up toward Karl-Heinz. Traps it. Back to Griffiths. Gets around Ridley. Now around Whittle. Vanager coming back with the elbow to Hasenbegovic. Jotto in a position. Jotto is dumped, and we're going to have a foul against Fort Lauderdale. Hasenbegovic down on the ground. Foul against the Strikers, going to give the Sting a free kick on the near side of the penalty area. And Jotto really put down. I believe that was Ridley, Kenny.
Yes, that was. Jotto's holding his left ankle right now. Let's see it. He's gonna beat this man the first time. And then the second man just gets him. He just put it through his legs and turned. I don't think there was anything intentional.
No, I don't think it was intentional at all. All right, Jotto is down. The trainer is out. Sting leading 2-1, and we're going to be back after these messages.
Here's 100 years of tradition coming at you.
Here comes the king.
Here comes the king. Here comes the big number one.
Here comes the king.
But why the fear? The king is second to none.
When you say but, the king is coming. Let's hear the call. When you say but, you said it all. When you say but, you...
Stefan Schaefer has come into the ball game. Stefan Schaefer, number 21, has come into the ball game for Chicago. Schaefer has been sidelined for almost a month with bruised ribs, but he is back in action now. It looks like he'll be playing in the back line as Jotto is still on the sideline. Here's the free kick by Christensen. Crossed in front, and the goalkeeper grabs it. Loose ball, grabs it again. Turner, a good quick move that time because he was screened as Christensen put that ball right on goal. Clock shows less than 34 and a half minutes remaining in the ball game. Sting ahead by a score of 2-1.
I think what's happened, he's put Stefan Schaefer on center half. Blankenburg's going playing like a defensive midfielder now. And what has happened is Stefan Hagen's gone up front again.
Here comes Hudson. Hudson's cross is going over the end line. It's going to be a goal kick for the Sting. Chicago leading 2-1. Hudson got Fort Lauderdale out ahead in the front of nothing. That was answered by Christensen, assisted by Stefan, and then early going, Chicago took the lead on a goal by Karl-Heinz Granitz, his 15th of the season, assisted by Hasmik.
Howard, the addition of Horst Blankenburg to this Chicago team has been a great one. He reads this game much like a book. He reads the opposing team's attacks and everything's very intelligent player, and you can't find those players. He's much to the Sting team like Franz Beckenbauer is to the New York Cosmos.
Fort Lauderdale's free kick coming to David Irving. Spalding on him. Fort Lauderdale attacking, but it is kicked out of danger by Griffiths. Headed by Callahan over to the far side. Ronson trying to run it down. Fowles is there. Fowles coming in the penalty area, and he takes a tremendous dumping. He was really tripped up on the far side. Looked like Stefan Schaefer got into the action very quickly. Yellow card for Stefan Schaefer. Stefan has been in less than 2 minutes after a month layoff, and he's just picked up a yellow card.
Okay, here's the move. What happens is Wilson missed kicks on this. And what happens, Fowles picks up the ball. He's coming through. Actually, Schaefer has no chance on this because he beats him to the right, and when he's by him, he just catches him.
So
all it was a trip, and he's playing the act a little bit more to it so that Stefan would get the yellow card.
Well, Fowles is down on the ground. The clock stops now at 33:03. It's 2-1 Chicago, and we'll be back after this message.
I'm not going to make the same mistake. Next time, I want my money's worth.
You asked for it. Your money's worth and more. The Toyota Celica. If you can find a better built small car than Toyota, buy it. We bet you can't. Toyotas are built to perform, to take it, to last. Now's the time to see how much satisfaction you can get for your money.
Finally going to get my money's worth. More.
More. Ask for it, you got it, Toyota.
You know, I always knew I didn't want to work for someone else.
Jeff Steeper came to Continental Bank before he opened his studio.
But even on your own, you need help.
Along with savings, we helped him set up lines of credit with MasterCharge, Visa, and our check credit account. Last month, we set up his tax-deferred retirement plan.
How's it going? Just like I wanted.
Glad you found a way to do it, Jeff. Glad we found ways to help.
At Continental Bank, we'll find a way.
Well, this time we came back and nothing happened. The free kick turned out to be harmless. Chicago controlling at the midfield. Christensen trying to break through. Foul called against Chicago. Fort Lauderdale with the ball. Spalding and Irving at the midfield. And Spalding puts Irving down at the center stripe. It's going to be a free kick for Fort Lauderdale. Well, we were kind of hoping if we won that maybe we could get another goal. It seemed to be pretty lucky, but it didn't quite work out that way. Whalen with it. He gives it to Hudson. Sting ahead, 2-1. Less than 32 minutes to go. Ronson. Schaefer battles Ronson off the ball. Ronson still controlling. Finally, Schaefer comes up with the ball, but a foul has been called against Chicago. It's going to give Fort Lauderdale another free kick. This one against Bruce Wilson, this foul. So it's a free kick for Fort Lauderdale deep in the Sting zone on the far side of the penalty area. Callahan puts it high in the air. Going up for it is David Irving. But the ball comes over, and Advocat pushes it out to the near side. Is going to go over the sideline, throw in. Whittle gives it to Irving. Spalding on Irving. Back kicks it back to Whittle. Whittle coming for the cross. And he just drives it over the crossbar. And it's going to be a... No, they're saying it was deflected by Griffiths, so there's going to be a corner kick. Corner kick coming up for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, Nick.
I think I would give Derrick Spalding and Clive Griffith a lot of credit. They're jumping against fellas who are about 3-4 inches bigger than them and maybe giving up another 20 pounds. So they're doing a hell of a job getting a lot of those cross balls.
All right, Piper is going to take the corner kick. He drives it forward. There's a header toward the goal and in. The Fort Lauderdale Strikers have tied up the ball game. A beautiful header has tied up the game, beating Marvin Carson over to the far corner. It looked very much like Ray Hudson getting a second. There's the cross out in front.
He just touches it with his head, and it just sneaks right in there.
So the Fort Lauderdale Strikers have tied up the ball game with the clock showing 30 minutes to go. And Fort Lauderdale going to have their first substitution. Looks like George Nanshoff, a young American who played at Akron University, is going to come into the ball with the Strikers. And we'll just have to wait and see who comes out. Nanshoff was their leading scorer last year with 8 goals. And Ray Hudson's coming out and getting a tremendous hand from these fans. No, wait a minute. They started to clap, but then Hudson came right back out again. Looks like Vanager is going to come out. Here comes Vanager. Nanshoff, Vanager, shaking hands. Denny Vanager coming out of the ball game. And Hudson comes over to him, pats him on the shoulder, taps him on the head, says, well done. All right, the Sting kicks off. Scored now tied at 2. Both sides have scored 1 each in the first half, 1 each in the second half. Granitza gets it. Granitza is dumped, and the ball is fired back to Ian Turner, the goalkeeper, by Norm Piper. He comes out to Nanshoff, a fresh George Nanshoff coming into the ball game. Less than 30 minutes to go in the ball game. It's all tied at 2. Nanshoff coming. Strasser on him. Over to Callahan. He's got overlapping on the far side. He goes to Piper. Piper throws a cross, but it is going over the crossbar. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. Remember, Sting's next home game, July 23rd, against Dallas. Wrigley Field, Sunday afternoon, 2:30. Budweiser Sunvisors, Continental Bank Team Pictures, and a great preliminary game starting at 11:45. Gates will open at 11:30 that day. 11:45, the preliminary game, the Under-16 Regional Championship of the National Cup. Budweiser Busch Gardens against the Chicago Kickers. Christensen with the ball. He's got Stefan Hagen breaking. Here comes Arno coming in toward the goal. Arno shoots, and he misses. Stefan Hagen taking the good pass from Christensen, fired, tough angle, and he came right across the goal mouth, and the ball rolls out. It's going to be a goal kick for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
That was some excellent movement off the ball there by Stefan Hagen as he came back like he was going to take the pass out on his way back and then checked back to Christensen, turned around and ran at the goal, and Christensen knew what he was going to do.
There's a lead for Irving. Irving trying to get around Spalding. Check that. That was Griffiths now this time. There's the lead coming into the penalty area to Ronson. Ronson to Hudson. Hudson breaking in. He is dumped, and we're going to have a penalty kick. Fort Lauderdale is going to have a penalty kick as Hudson is dumped in the penalty area. And let's see. We're going to ask our director, Bob Malecki, if we can see that one again.
All right, here's the replay on this. He lays it right in the middle. What happens, Ronson checks it right back to Hudson. Hudson is coming in all by himself, I think, and he gets pushed from the back, and it's a penalty shot. Definitely got.
All right. Maurice Whittle will take the penalty shot for Fort Lauderdale. Carson stopped the last one he had to face. There's the shot, and he scores. Maurice Whittle has put Fort Lauderdale ahead 3-2 with just over 27 and a half remaining in the ball game as he beat Marvin Carson into the lower right-hand corner of the net. And we will be back after these messages.
The day is done.
Come in. Chilly tonight. Looking good.
To let it go. It's the moment to unwind.
Welcome home.
So just say, bud.
Say bud.
And pour the king of beers and settle back and please yourself.
Hey, thanks.
How'd it go today?
So far, so good.
Paparicious. It's the ultimate bubble. Paparicious. It's the ultimate bubble. Soft and juicy. It's the ultimate bubble. So delicious. It's the ultimate bubble. It's the ultimate bubble. Paparicious. The ultimate bubble. Paparicious.
Action resumes at the midfield. Tony Whalen. Callahan to the near side to Hudson. The lead to Whittle. Whittle going into the corner. He crosses in front, broke it up by Griffiths. Advocat and Hudson battling for it, but Piper is there, drives it back to Whittle. Picked up by Derrick Spalding. Puts it in the penalty area, broke it up. Blankenburg, Whittle gets it right back. That was Schaefer, check that. Whittle has it. Out it comes to Piper. Clock shows less than 26 minutes to go. Piper puts it in the penalty area, and Spalding just lets it go over his head to Marvin Costin.
The official attendance here at Fort Lauderdale, 13,087 people are here to see this match.
All right, Dick Advocat of the Sting. Puts it up to Wilson. Wilson to Christensen. Christensen coming, but the ball is pushed ahead a little bit too far, and finally fouls, returns it to the goalkeeper, Turner. Flings it over to the far side. Norm Piper with it for Fort Lauderdale. Now Ronson, Billy Ronson, making his run. Ronson still coming, slows it down, Strasser on him, puts it in the penalty area, Costin's there. Sting trailing by a score of 3-2. They had the lead 2-1 momentarily in the second half, but 2 quick goals, 1 a penalty kick, has given the Strikers a lead back. Now a missed kick pass, and Piper comes. Piper lays one out in front. It deflects off of Griffiths. Is Costin able to get to it, and he flings it over to the far side, but it goes out of bounds, and Hagen couldn't get back quickly enough to get it, so Colin Files is going to throw it in for Fort Lauderdale.
That's a shame from Irving to throw that one out. His distribution really has been excellent all evening long.
All right, good move by Advocat. Flat on the ground, tackled that ball away. However, Fort Lauderdale coming. Hudson trying to move it over to Nanshoff, but the ball slides out of bounds on the near side. Last touch by Chicago. Going to be a throw-in. Hudson comes out to Whittle. 1-on-1 against Blankenburg now. Back to Hudson. Griffiths comes out to meet Hudson. Puts it out to Nanshoff. Nanshoff trying to maneuver for a shot. Schaefer and Strasser help to break it up. Now taken by Nanshoff again. And a good tackle by Blankenburg. Takes that ball away, but it goes over the end line, and we're going to have a corner kick.
Dick Advocate's down on the far side of the field, holding his left ankle and signaling over to the Chicago Sting bench. I think he might have to come off. He's really in a lot of pain.
The referee has stopped time at 23:41. Fort Lauderdale by a score of 3-2. Dick Advocat is down on the field on the far side. The Chicago Sting will be playing in Tampa Wednesday night. That game will be brought to you here on Channel 9 at 8 o'clock. And then returning home for 4 games to close out the regular season at home. On July 23rd, it's going to be the Dallas Tornado with Kyle Rote at Wrigley Field at 2:30. And you can get ticket information by calling the Sting office at 558-KICK. Time has still been stopped as Callahan walks over.
Injuries are really taking their toll on Chicago tonight, as Jada Hasmik had to go off earlier in this half. And now Dick Advocate's down. It appears he might have to come off the field, in which case Dan Mccrudden would probably be coming in.
Advocat looks like he's walking over to the bench with the trainer, and Dan Mccrudden is indeed coming in for Chicago. Dan Mccrudden, the Sting's first-round draft choice out of Rhode Island University. Strong young American player. Some valuable experience this year coming into the ball game, replacing Dick Advocat. So the Sting has lost 2 starters because of injuries tonight. Jado Hasanbegovic and Dick Advocat. Sting trailing 3-2. It's a short corner. Piper has it. Puts it out to the top of the penalty area to Whittle. Whittle puts it in, but it is kicked away by Blankenburg. Headed right back into the far side, but headed by Griffiths over to Christensen. Jurgen controlling his lead to Strasser. Gino Strasser throws one up towards Stevenhagen, but the Fort Lauderdale defense collapses in, and it was flipped right out again by the goalkeeper. Yes, Nick?
Okay, what Willie has done now, he put Dan Mccrudden now in the defense, and he's put Stefan Schaefer up front. So he's putting him more like a striker, and he's putting Mccrudden, a good American player, just to get used to playing a little better from the back, and figure Schaefer will be effective on the forward line.
Stevenhagen with it for Chicago. He's got Schaefer up front. Goes to the far side to Christensen. Christensen at the 35. Great moves by Christensen. Trying to go to Stevenhagen or to Schaefer, but it is broken up and taken by Maurice Whittle, coming out of his own zone. Fort Lauderdale leading 3-2. Under 23 minutes to go. There's a long lead to David Irving. However, Wilson races back quickly, gives it to Costin, but Costin was over the end line, and it's going to result in another Fort Lauderdale corner kick. So the Sting having a great deal of trouble really putting anything together now. They're trailing 3-2. Corner kick coming up. Piper down in the far corner to take it. Standing there with Ronson. Another short corner. Comes to Callahan. Callahan trying to make a move. Broken up by Strasser, taken back by Ronson. Ronson one-on-one against Wilson. And finally the ball is tapped over the end line. It's going to be another corner kick for Fort Lauderdale.
Throw in, Howard.
No. Check that. It's a throw in. It went over the sideline and deep in that far corner. Comes back out to Callahan. Callahan's cross. Head ball. Comes to the near side. They try to go to Whittle. Still a battle, and finally a foul has been called. Clive Griffiths, and Clive is holding his nose. Clive Griffiths in pain down on the field, holding his nose, but another foul against Chicago is going to give Fort Lauderdale a free kick on the near side of the penalty area. Less than 21.5 minutes remaining in the game. Sting trailing by a score of 3-2. And now Arno Steffenhagen is getting a yellow card. Or is it Steffenhagen? He waved immediately at Steffenhagen, but then Blankenburg came over. I think it is Steffenhagen, isn't it?
Yes, it's Steffenhagen. What he was, he told him to move back 10 yards. Steffenhagen told him, was talking to him and didn't move, so he gave him a yellow card.
2 yellow cards, one to Schaefer and one to Steffenhagen. None thus far to Fort Lauderdale. Nanshoff and Whittle. Whittle takes it out to the top of the penalty area. Piper shoots. Good save by Clausen. Taken back by Strasser. He's hemmed in, but he gets it to Steffenhagen on the near side. And the ball is controlled now by Fort Lauderdale, but Steffenhagen gets his foot on it, taps it out, throw in. Comes out to Whittle. Whittle puts it out in front, broken up by Strasser. Comes right out again to Whittle. Check that, Ronson. To Ridley. Beats Mccrudden. There's the give and go. Here comes Nanshoff coming in. He shoots. Another great save, a sprawling one-handed save by Clausen. Marvin keeping the Sting in the ball game. Out to Christensen on the far side. Marvin with 2 good saves there. The last one a beauty, a sprawling one-handed save. Here comes Christensen. He's moving. Coming to the far side. Christensen still has it. There's the cross, headed away by Fort Lauderdale. And the strikers coming out of their own zone own the ball and a 3-2 lead. 20 minutes remaining to play in the game. Here comes Piper. Norm Piper starting to break in. He's got Nanshoff on the near side. Nanshoff one-on-one. But we're having a call. Looks like an offside call.
Offside's call there, Howard.
Offside call against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
It was a very strange call because the ball wasn't played to the man who was offside, but the linesman had his flag up and the ref went ahead and whistled it.
Sting will also be playing July 26th, a Wednesday night at Soldier Field against Philadelphia. July 29th, a Saturday afternoon at Wrigley Field. It's Baskin-Robbins Flying Saucer Day, and then OTC, McNair reports a call, Las Vegas Day. Here's Steffenhagen starting his run. Steffenhagen trying to beat in the penalty area. He is put down. Loose ball, the goal keep it in. Referee says play on. Sting, of course, would like an equalizing penalty kick opportunity. Didn't get one. Here comes Nanshoff. He's got Whittle on the near side. Goes instead right to the middle. The give and go, Nanshoff heads it. Nobody there but Griffiths. But David Irving takes it away from him. Good hustle by Irving. Back to Whittle. To Irving. And Griffiths comes back to boot it over the end line. It's going to be another corner kick for Fort Lauderdale. Time beginning to become a real factor here. Less than 19 minutes.
I don't know whether the fans at home could have seen that or not, but Willie Roy, head coach of Chicago Sting, got off the bench on that last takedown of Steffenhagen. He was very upset and thought Chicago should add a penalty.
Piper will take the corner kick as the clock continues to run. Less than 18.5 minutes to go in the ball game. There's the cross. Up they go. Fisted out in front. The return shot goes off to the far side of the net. So it's going to be another goal kick for Chicago with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers leading by a score of 3-2. 558-KICK. That's the Sting number. Jim Paskowitz is there right now to tell you all about the great group discount plans for all the forthcoming Sting home games. Strasser at the midfield. He's being hounded. Gets around Piper momentarily. Over on the far side it goes. Back kicked. Comes up again. Here comes Chicago on the attack. The lead to Christensen. Christensen coming in. Christensen shoots. Score! Jurgen Christensen has tied up the game with his second goal. Taking that lead pass and driving it from just outside the penalty area. And that time we had it for you in all its splendor. So the Sting has come back.
Okay,
We finally got a sting goal alive for you. Let's see if we can replay it again.
Yeah, Stefan worked the give and go there with beat another man and centered it through to Christensen there, who came in and hit it with the right foot. Jurgen doesn't score very often. The goalie was way off his line there, coming out to cut down the angle. Jurgen just knocked it right over him. Probably the biggest goal of the season thus far.
It's all tied at 3. 17 minutes exactly remaining in the ball game. As the ball comes into the penalty area, but Blankenburg is there to tap it to Carson. Remember, the Sting playing in the second half have 2 starters injured, Dick Advocat and Jaro Hasenbegovic. Strasser at the midfield. Mccrudden came in for Advocat. There's a pass that Granitz is going to get. And Schaefer had gone in for the injured Jaro Hasenbegovic. Schaefer is up front now. Mccrudden is on the back line. Granitz with it. Finally, it ends up with Stefan. Stefan, the long lead. There's a head ball out in front by Stefan Schaefer, but it just rolls easily. Keeper Ian Turner, who drives it upfield. 3-3 match. Don't go away. Just over 16 minutes remaining. David Irving battling Spalding for the ball. Irving is put down and a free kick given to Fort Lauderdale. Taps it over to Callahan. He comes here to the near side, and Anshoff gives it to Whittle. Mccrudden on Whittle. And Mccrudden forces that ball back upfield, but it slides out of bounds. It's going to be a throw-in for Fort Lauderdale. Comes out to Callahan. It's all tied at 3. Less than 16 minutes to go in the ball game. Callahan. Back to Whittle. Banniger started the game. He was replaced in this half by George Nanchoff. Whittle with it. Goes to the far side of the penalty area. So they tried to give and go to Whalen, broken up by Chicago. Taken back, here's Arno Stefan starting his run. Threads it through to Schaefer. Schaefer coming in on the goal. Schaefer shoots and just misses wide to the right. They found Stefan Schaefer breaking into the goal area, and Arno Stefan threaded a beautiful pass to Schaefer, and as the defense came up, Schaefer let go, but it just missed wide. And we will be back after these messages.
Not so far, not from the fellas I've been talking to.
What do you see as the chief objection to riding the buses off duty?
I guess it would depend whether they put 1 or 2 men on a bus.
And me, myself, I don't want to be on a bus in a uniform, in no trouble area at night, like I said, by myself.
I would say it would be a disadvantage to have 1 policeman in a high crime area on a CTA bus. Reason being that
the ball is tackled away, broken up, and finally goes over the end line. We're going to have, it looks like, a corner kick for Chicago. Corner kick coming up for Chicago. Jurgen Christensen is going to take that corner kick deep in the far corner. Opportunity here for Chicago. They've come back to tie this ball game. Fort Lauderdale went ahead on a penalty kick by Maurice Whittle. Sting tied it up on Jurgen Christensen's 2nd goal of the game, his 4th of the season. Jurgen will take the... No, he's not going to take it. Bruce Wilson comes over. Now the referee says play. All right, short corner to Christensen. Breaks around Whittle, and he throws a cross. It's going over the front of the goal. Another head ball loose, taken back by Fort Lauderdale, and they're going to clear their zone. The cross went over the front of the goal mouth, and finally it ends up on field. Now, Irving drops it back, but Blankenburg is there for the Chicago Sting. Blankenburg up to Gene Strasser. Less than 12 and a half minutes to go in the second half. The score, Chicago 3-4-3. All right, here comes the Sting back on the attack. Dropping it back to Christensen. Christensen moving into the penalty area. Trying to get around. He puts one out in front, but it is deflected off the body of Colin Fowles. It goes over the end line. It's going to be another corner kick. Christensen trying to work around and cross to either Granitza or Schaefer, who are moving up. However, Colin Fowles blocked it with his body, so Christensen's going to have another corner kick. Put the first one beyond the goal mouth. Let's see what happens to this one. Strasser comes up in case there's a short corner. Tap to Strasser. Right back to Christensen. Right back to Strasser. He is put down. Ball rolls out of bounds. And let's see how they award that. It's going to be a throw-in to Chicago. Throw-in comes to Strasser. Breaks by 1 man, but the ball rolls out. Strasser couldn't control it, and it looks like they're going to give a goal kick. Strasser was starting to walk toward the corner, But they are awarding a goal kick to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, so they're going to put it in play. Kenny?
Howard, I know Stefan is playing a tremendous game tonight. Of course, he scored goals in his first 6 games with Chicago, but tonight he's shown what a great all-around player he is. He's got two assists, both on Christensen's goals. He laid a beautiful ball into Stefan Schaefer. That could have resulted in a 3rd goal. He moves very well off the ball. You have to watch this guy move off the ball.
All right, there's Fort Lauderdale. A shot goes over the bar. The shot by Ray Hudson. Check that, Billy Ronson. From a long way away, Hudson and Ronson look very similar, but that was Billy Ronson who fired it over the bar. So Chicago once again owns the ball. The clock now under 11 minutes to go in regulation time. The score tied at 3. Jurgen Christensen at the midfield. Pushed it up to Stefan. Stefan trying to get between 3. Trying to read Granitza, but it is broken up by Ridley and taken by Nanshoff. Here comes Nanshoff. Nanshoff moves across the midfield strike. Over to Callahan. Nanshoff crossing over to the far side. Strasser on him. Trying to move around Strasser, and Nanshoff dumps Strasser, and the referee has his hand up in the air. Let's see how he's going to call that. He may be calling an obstruction, or he may be calling a foul. Let's see. The foul is going to go. The call is going to go. Let's see. It's going to go against Chicago. Kenny?
He called an obstruction there, Howard. He ruled Gene Strasser got in the way of the man on the ball without playing it.
Here comes in front. It is headed away by Spalding. Loose ball outside the penalty area. Mccrudden is there. Good back heel pass. Back to Mccrudden. Into the Christensen. Jurgen to Granitza. Granitza moving toward the top of the penalty area. Here comes Carl. Trying to break through. Pushed away. Loose ball in the penalty area. And finally the keeper comes racing over, Ian Turner. But the ball touched by Chicago, and they're going to award a goal kick to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. It's all tied at 3.
Howard, we have a score. Chicago fans are going to like this very much. Vancouver 2, Memphis 0. I don't know whether or not it's a final. We will try and find out. Also, Portland is beating Dallas 1-0 with 8 minutes left in the first half.
Kind of doubt if it's a final, Ken, because right now, you know, they're in out. Memphis is on Chicago time. All right, Callahan with it. Puts it out to David Irving. Irving trying to get by Griffiths. Can't do it. Not a Ronson. Ronson fires a shot, and it goes over the bar. Ronson a bullet, but it went over the bar and wide to the right. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. Just over 8.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. It's tied at 3. Derrick Spalding with it, deep in the corner. Lays it upfield, looking for Schaefer. Hudson's there. He gets it to Whittle. To Piper. Piper breaking toward the penalty area. Here comes Piper, still coming. He shoots. Clausen, a fantastic stop. Marvin Clausen goes high in the air to grab that ball on the bullet shot. And let's take another look.
Okay, here's the replay. All right, here he goes. Piper taking the cut right into the left side. Takes a great shot going for the upper corner, and Clausen just dives and picks it all off. Beautiful catch.
Mccrudden on the far side now for Chicago. Moves it up to Wilson. Wilson to Granitza. Granitza slips, goes down. And Fort Lauderdale coming right back with the ball. Callahan. To the near side. Nanshoff is there. He's picked up by Spalding. And he takes a dive in the penalty area over Spalding. The ball is tapped over the end line. Last touched. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. There's Marvin Clausen holding that right shoulder. Kenny?
Howard, you have to give Chicago all the credit in the world tonight. Playing with two injured men, and now Carson seems like he's holding his, seems like he might have injured his shoulder on that last save. But they haven't played without Dick Advocate since he joined this team. And Stefan appears to be taking up much of the responsibility.
All right, the score out here is all tied at 3, and we will be back after these messages.
When do you say Budweiser?
After we find 1 more mile an hour.
When do you say Budweiser?
Right now, or any time that's right for a cold beer is perfect for the smooth taste of the king of beers, Budweiser.
When you say Budweiser,
here's to you, gentlemen.
You said it all.
Wow! Sit down, Krebs.
Sorry, Peach. I didn't know the gum was loaded.
You didn't know Freshen Up was loaded with...
He didn't know the gum was loaded. But who expected all this taste? He didn't know the gum was loaded. Hey, ordinary gum, this ain't.
Didn't you know Freshen Up loads delicious gum with refreshing liquid flavor boosters?
Now I do.
Freshen Up,
It's loaded
with flavor.
Okay. Crowd of over 13,000 voicing displeasure as Ian Fleming, I said that again. Ian Callahan takes one from about 45 yards away. He just sailed it up into the stands. Crowd really couldn't understand the reason for the shot. At any rate, Marvin Clausen has another goal kick. The scoreboard clock now shows just over 6.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. If the score remains tied at the end of regulation play, they will go into a 7.5 minute sudden death. Okay, the sting at midfield. Here comes Derrick Spalding. He's got Schaefer back to Spalding. Now check that, that's Stefan a long lead, going over to the far side. However, offside call on Jurgen Christensen, breaking deep on the left side. When Christensen crossed over that 35-yard line and went in the attack zone, there were not two defenders between him at the time the ball, and him and the goal at the time the ball was passed. All right, Strasser at the midfield. His pass is intercepted by Hudson. Hudson starting to come. He leads to David Irving. Check that. That's Nanshoff. Nanshoff coming. Nanshoff inside the penalty area. He crosses in front. Headed away beautifully by Danny Mccrudden. Mccrudden coming back very quickly. Headed that ball out. Throw in for Fort Lauderdale. Strikers continuing to put on pressure. Nanshoff will throw it in. Hudson waves for it. Makes the chest trap. He's dumped by Strasser. And referee's going to award a free kick to Fort Lauderdale. Whittle puts that ball down. Dangerous position. Puts it in the penalty area. Head ball goes.
I think he
down
called
in
a
the
foul
corner,
down
but
there.
a foul is going to be called on Tony Whalen, fella who actually made the header, pushing off, and so the Sting is going to have a free kick in their penalty area.
Young Dan Mccrudden is doing a great job for Chicago coming off the bench, and he's adding a lot of stability in the back. They no longer are dominating the air like they were earlier in the game.
Okay, Sting, Fort Lauderdale, tied at 3. Less than 5 minutes to go in regulation time. Wilson with it for Chicago. He's hemmed in on the sideline. The give and go comes out back to Wilson. Scissor kicks it to midfield where Ray Hudson's there. To George Nanshoff. Nanshoff came in the second half for Denny Banneker. Goes around Strasser. Puts it in the far corners. Callahan. Callahan crosses for Irving, but it is headed out by Blankenburg. Taken right back by Hudson. Strasser on him. To Whittle. Blankenburg covering Whittle. Whittle goes off to the far side, but it is broken up by Bruce Wilson, and the ball tapped over the end line by Wilson. He gives up the corner, and a corner kick coming up, and Wilson claims he was fouled down there before he had sent that ball over the end line.
I think what he's saying is the linesman is not calling the offside. Irving was offside, and the linesman never picked up the flag. That's what he's yelling at him about.
Thank you, Nick. Here's Piper's cross. It's coming in front of the goal. Clausen comes out and grabs it. Good move by Marvin, coming up off the line very aggressively. Flings it over to the far side. Christensen to Stefan. Here comes Arno. He's got Schaefer on the right side. He's got Granitza in front. He gives it to Schaefer. Schaefer's coming. Schaefer's moving. He gives it to Granitza. Granitza trying to turn in the penalty area. Almost overruns it to Christensen. Coming into the penalty area. Takes it toward the back line. He crosses. Stefan-Hagen's head ball. Yes! Stefan-Hagen has put the Sting in the lead by a score of 4-3. Arno Stefan-Hagen has just his 8th goal of the season, and with the clock showing just over 3 minutes remaining in the ball game, the Sting has taken a 4-3 lead. A magnificent header by Arno Stefan-Hagen off the cross by Jurgen Christensen. Let's take a look. Here's Christensen.
All right, here's the replay. Christensen lays it across with his left foot. Stefan-Hagen standing there all by himself, puts it in the upper corner. Beautiful shot. Had the goalie beat. Beautiful.
Arno Stefan-Hagen, his 8th goal of the season, has given the Sting a 4-3 lead. Under 3 minutes to go in the ball game as Norm Piper controls for Fort Lauderdale. Goes to Ronson. Starting a run. Breaking. Shooting. And just missing wide to the right as Clausen dashes out to make a sprawling one-handed deflection. Marvin Clausen just getting enough to deflect it off to the right. The short corner. Lauderdale attacking again. Less than 2.5 minutes. There's the cross. Headed high, and it goes over the end line. It's going to be a goal kick throw. Remember, the Sting will be facing Tampa Bay in Tampa Wednesday night. I want to remind you that Sting Soccer is produced purely for the entertainment of our viewing audience, and a rebroadcast or replay of this game without express written consent of the Chicago Sting is prohibited. Sting broadcasters chosen by the Chicago Sting and Marvin H. Sugarman Productions. Sting controlling in their own zone. Less than 2 minutes to go in the ball game now. Blankenburg with it. Taps it to Mervyn Clausen. Clausen has Mccrudden on the near side, and he gets him with a long fling. And as Mccrudden tries to move upfield, broken up by Whittle. Fort Lauderdale continuing to press. Believe me, these strikers aren't giving up. They're a tremendous side. 4-3 Chicago. Mccrudden to Strasser. Back to Mccrudden. He puts it upfield looking for Karl-Heinz Granitza. The head ball rolls out of bounds on the near side. Now there's a minute on the scoreboard clock. All right, there's the lead down to Stefan. Is attempting to go to Christensen. Is broken up by Whalen. Nanshoff goes for the head ball. Stefan gets it at the midfield. And now a foul has been called. Foul has been called against Nanshoff, so it's going to give the Sting a free kick. There's less than a minute to go in the ball game now. Less than a minute to go in the game. The Sting leading by a score of 4-3. Hang on tight. Christensen has it on the far side. He's got Wilson overlapping. He feeds Wilson. 45 seconds remaining in the ball game. Wilson working back to Christensen. Christensen slips, falls down, and Fort Lauderdale controlling as Christensen slipped and fell down. 35 seconds. The strikers on the attack. Here they come, over on the far side, and there's a foul called. It's going to give Fort Lauderdale a free kick. The referee stops time, and I believe he is down on the ground essentially to get that up so that his attackers can get in a position for the free kick, Nick. There's 26 seconds remaining on the clock.
Right.
Nanshoff is on the ground.
Actually, it's an injury timeout. You've seen the player was hurt, so you called the injury timeout and give him that 26 seconds.
We'll take another look at it while the player is down on the ground.
There's the replays coming down the side there. Puts it by the man and he trips him. I don't think he's injured at all, but he's a very intelligent player, and he's just going to lay down there to make sure the ref stops the clock. And any player would do that.
It's a good play. All right. There's the kick. It's coming into the penalty area. Kicked high in the air, headed by Griffiths off to the near sideline. The ball is rolling. It goes out of bounds, and it is booted by Mccrudden up into the stands. And the referee stops the clock. There's 13 seconds remaining on the clock. Fort Lauderdale have another throw-in. Crowd of over 13,000 now, many of them standing. The throw-in comes to Irving. Battle in the penalty area. Mccrudden, he boots it. It hits the referee. Taken back by Fort Lauderdale. Mccrudden has it, and he drives it over the sideline with only 3 seconds left. 2, 1. The scoreboard clock shows no time. There it is. The whistle has blown. The Chicago Sting has defeated the Fort Lauderdale Strikers by a score of 4-3 and moved into second place in the Central Division of the American Conference. However, we have the Vancouver-Memphis game still in progress tonight. Vancouver leading and Houston at Detroit, but the Sting has defeated Fort Lauderdale, thus ending the Strikers' 10-game home winning streak. A tremendous victory for Chicago. Promotional announcements were provided by the Chicago Sting. We want to thank our director, Bob Malecki, the executive producer, Lou Terrell, Marvin H. Sugarman Productions. We also want to thank Nick Pratt and Ken Stern, who did such a magnificent job in this ball game. A quick recap on the goals. Hudson got them out ahead, 1-0, that in the first half. And Kenny, you want to just finish up on those goals very quickly?
Yes, Christensen got Chicago back in the game late in the first half.
You got to move it.
1-1. Granitza got the lead goal to make it 2-1. Fort Lauderdale came back with 2 goals and grabbed all the momentum. Looked like they were going to just walk in from there. And finally, late in the game, Christensen scored, and then Stefan scored, and Chicago ends up 4-3 winners.
Very big win for the Chicago Sting. They now have moved into second place, as I say, but Houston now has 2 games in hand. They go into Detroit tomorrow night, and we will be back with
shampoo you use after coloring. Helps hold the color. Looks so natural, shinier, even nicer to touch.
Get the magic of color hold with Miss Clairol Shampoo in Color.
Miss Clairol, this I do for me.
Mom,
Taking care of a family isn't easy.
I've run out of shampoo.
We run out of a lot of...
Thanks.
But not bathroom tissue. I buy Scott tissue with 1,000 sheets, because 1,000 sheets last longer.
Roll it out. The other leading brand quits at 500 sheets, but Scott tissue lasts 28% longer. It rolls out to 1,000 sheets.
Honey, I've run out of shirts.
Scott tissue with 1,000 sheets.
Because 1,000 sheets last longer.
In suburban Des Plaines, a family fishing expedition ended in tragedy this weekend when a father and son both drowned in the Des Plaines River. 18-year-old Thomas Burns Jr. reportedly waded out into chest-deep water and got caught in an undertow. When his father, Thomas Sr., tried to rescue him, he was pulled under by the same current. Angry Cicero policemen have asked for an opportunity to address the city council this evening to detail their new contract demands. They've rejected the city's latest wage offer and have voted to take whatever action is necessary to support that position. Leaders of the Policemen's Association refuse to use the word strike. However, they do promise 48 hours in advance of any job action.
Well, first, we're going to talk about the Cubs tonight with Bruce Roberts.
The Cubs and Dodgers? That game delayed for 61 minutes because of the downpour in the area, as Jack Coughlin told you. Unfortunately, the rain subsided, and the Dodgers rallied to win it 4-3. Actually, it was Reggie Smith who won it. In the Los Angeles first, Smith with a man on tagged Rick Russell with this shot. It went out on a fly, and it was 2-0 Dodgers. The Cubs scored an unearned run in the bottom of the frame, and the third, a sacrifice fly, tied it up, and when Bill Russell slipped fielding this grounder by Mike Vail, couldn't get the force at second, a run scored. The Cubs led 3-2. The Dodgers tied it up on a sacrifice in the seventh. In the eighth, took the lead on Smith's second home run of the game, 4-3 Los Angeles. The Cubs had men on first and third with one out in the ninth. The Jesus, the batter. Smith came into play again. He sent one to right. Watch Reggie's throw, double play on Larry Cox, trying to tie it up from third. Great, Yeager. The Dodgers win at 4-3. The Cubs now 5 in back of the Phillies. Tonight in Milwaukee, the Sox will send Francisco Berrios against the Brewers. On Wednesday, the red-hot Chicago Sting will face the Rowdies in Tampa Bay. Let's talk about Chicago's drive for a playoff berth with my good friend, Lee Stern. Hi, owner.
How you doing?
How you been? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Just what is the playoff picture as it stands right now?
Well, right now, we've struggled all season long. We're in second place, 2 points ahead of Houston. And I think with 5 remaining games to go on our schedule, we can keep that second place spot. I think 3 wins out of 5, 4 out of 5 will certainly do it.
This is not the same team that I saw at the beginning of the season. In fact, I think all 14 men have changed, or just about.
Well, we've sent 11 players out from our original cast, and of course have gotten 4 great players in from Germany and Fark. And of course, Willie Roy's done the big job at coach for us. He's been tremendous.
It's been one half the other half.
That's right. It's 2 halves of the season.
Big game Saturday night. I thought that was a pivotal game against Fort Lauderdale, who had won 10 at home, correct?
That's correct, and that one showed that we could do it trailing there and coming up in the last minute.
Let's see the highlights of that game. You and I are going to describe it for our viewers. The strikers scored first at 25-25. That's Ray Hudson. He made it 1-0. And then what happened at 39-16?
Jurgen Christensen.
Yes, sir.
Watch that shot.
That's at 39-16. He tied it up at the intermission. And then who scored?
Carl Granitza. Watch this left-footed shot here. That's his 15th goal in 17 games.
And Ray Hudson at 59-27 off the corner kick headed in the second of the night. That's 2-2. At 62-20, Fort Lauderdale's Maurice Whittle. This on the penalty kick made it 3-2 strikers. But you came back.
Jurgen Christensen.
Second goal.
Watch this shot here.
That tied it at 3. On 3 fine passes at 85-32. Who did it?
Arno Steppenhagen. Look at that header. Up into the corner.
And so you were in second place. The final, Chicago 4, Fort Lauderdale 3. You win. You wonder if you're going to sell more tickets. That's the name of the game.
Well, we have a big game, that's for sure. And we have a big game coming up at Wrigley Field on Sunday against the Dallas Tornado. And Jeff Bourne, who is a real star in our league, and I think we can stop him.
Well, let's hope so. Lee, I want to thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Bruce, for
incidentally, I couldn't get the Sting's color, but this is as close as I could come.
Well, yellow and black, it's not.
It's, well, it's close. Thanks much. Lest we forget, the Chicago Bears opened their camp in Lake Forest on Friday, but our Richard Waldo couldn't win.